Something that happens to you when you're into planners and productivity and the like is that you just end up with so much stuff. Like, my office is full of supplies I don't use and I don't need, and it's just giving me a lot of mental and physical clutter that I don't like. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through my process and give you some tips on how to actually discern what you need to keep or what stickers from ages ago that you bought and swore you would use that you can now actually throw away. Feel free to throw this on in the background while you do some planner supply decluttering, and let's get into it. Okay, so the first step is to take everything off of my shelves. My bookshelves are basically where I hold all of my various planner supplies or craft supplies, and as you can see from this footage, it is just a proper mess. So the first step is to take everything off of my shelves and just sort of like put it on the floor where I will be doing most of my decluttering and sorting through my objects. Basically, the reason why you want to pull it all out on the floor like I've done here, it's so that you can see everything clearly. You want to get everything in one place and really get your hands on it and make sure you are understanding what you have in front of you, because the best way to declutter is to understand the actual full scope of what you own. Otherwise, you might be throwing away something that you actually need or keeping something that you don't actually need because you already have a duplicate. And I have a ton of duplicates in my stash. What you see me doing here is going through everything and sorting it into loose piles. Chances are there's going to be some stuff that you know automatically that you will be getting rid of, some stuff you're on the fence about, and some stuff that you are never going to part with. So just start there if you're looking for 3 different ways to set up your piles. But I'm also setting it up loosely with things like, oh, I got this from a sponsor and I might need to keep this for a future ad, or these are all my notebooks and I still need to go through my notebooks. There's general piles I'm creating that are like, I know for sure I'm going to get rid of this, and general piles I'm creating for, I know for sure I'm going to keep this, but some of it just needs further sorting, and I'm really just trying to get a basic handle on what materials I have so that I can then sort them in more specific contexts with the rest of the items that belong with them in that list or that context. The most important thing to remember is that you don't need to imagine your ideal life when you go through your stuff. It's so easy to hold a piece of washi tape you thought you were going to use or stickers you bought with the best intention of crafts, but the ultimate truth is that your ideal life doesn't exist. Your current life exists. Your real life exists. So if something doesn't fit into that current real life, I would recommend getting rid of it. For example, I have a set of small notebooks that are like American road trip themed. One has the Grand Canyon on it. They all have different types of paper inside. And I bought these notebooks with the express idea that I would do traveling journaling in them. And I have traveled many times since I got them, and never once have I picked up those journals to write my journeys in. I've always used a different notebook or a notes app on my phone. So this is an example of something that I want for my ideal life, but I don't actually need or use, and it's been proven to me over and over again by myself that I won't use it in the contexts that I actually purchased it for. So I'm gonna go and give those notebooks away. The same thing is true for scrap paper. I have a lot of scrap paper. On the screen you can see me looking through magazines and looking for other sources of that scrap paper. I love the idea of collaging. My dad got me a nice big notebook for Christmas a couple years ago in which I thought I would start collaging. I felt like I needed a more creative way to sort of get out some feelings, like an artistic way to get out some feelings that I was working through. And I was like, collage is perfect. I have all these magazine scraps. I'm totally going to collage. But so far I haven't. And many of those magazine scraps and pieces of trash or things like that are stuff that I can get rid of. Like, for example, I often keep little pouches that stickers come in, little clear plastic pouches, because I have this idea that I will put notes in them and then stick those notes in notebooks. I don't know why I have this idea. I've never done it before in my life, and I don't need to keep the trash that comes with buying other products to reuse in this way. I think it's great to reuse what you have, but if you're not actually going to reuse it, what is the purpose of keeping it? There is just no purpose. So those kinds of things you can get rid of because you're imagining a use case that ultimately is never going to happen. And if there's a potential that that use case really could happen, like, you know, maybe you just thought of this use case and you're buying these things for a project that you might do, that's fine. But sometimes, and I would say most often in my case, I will have an idea and then years will go by
with me sitting on supplies and that idea, and I will not act on it. So if that's you, this is your permission to get rid of everything from an ideal life and start focusing on the things that are actually in front of you. I will say, if you are on the fence about something, you can easily ask yourself if you are going to be able to buy it again. I have this problem with dot grid notebooks. I don't really use dot grid notebooks, but they are so beautiful. I have a couple from Hubman and Chub Girl, and then also I have this one from, gosh, I can't remember the store name right now, but it's so cute. It's a little Harry Potter notebook. I love Harry Potter, and it's a dot grid notebook, and it's just adorable, small, like Hobonichi week size. And I always buy these notebooks thinking they're so beautiful, and that I want to use them someday because I want to use beautiful notebooks. But in truth, if I'm not using that within a couple months of buying it, I'm probably never going to use it, and keeping it around is just a waste of space. Because I can rebuy most beautiful dot grid notebooks really easily if I wanted to, I don't need to keep them around in my house. I can donate them or gift them to a friend who I know will use them, and then I can just purchase a different dot grid notebook if I really have a use case for it. So I'm getting rid of a lot of dot grid notebooks in this video.
Okay, we are at a halfway point right now. There is still so much in front of me, as you can see from the B-roll clip that I'm putting up right now, but basically I've accepted that it's gonna get worse before it gets better, and I need to find my second wind right now so that I can organize all these piles into something that I can actually sort through and see what I'm gonna keep or going to get rid of. So to do that, I'm just gonna pause real quick and take a Magic Mind shot. I've talked about Magic Mind on the channel before, and we are partnering together for this video. It is a mental performance shot. I've been taking it every day for a few weeks now, and it really helps you focus. So I'm gonna down this real quick. Hit the link in the description below if you want to know more about this bad boy. Otherwise, let's get back to organizing.
Another thing you want to ask yourself is, how much is this costing me to keep? Sometimes there is a literal cost to buying things. Supplies are small most of the time for planners, like washi tape or stickers, but in bulk, that can be a lot to find storage space for and maintain. So for example, I bought these bookshelves in the background of this video expressly to hold my books, which are on the top two shelves, and then also my planner and art supplies, which are on the bottom several shelves. And I purchased these whole bookcases just to hold my stuff. I didn't need to do that if I had less stuff. I would not have needed to do that if I kept less things. And just letting your collection grow slowly over time can be nice to develop a collection, but it can also be problematic because you just keep needing to buy storage and move into a bigger place so that you can hold all this stuff that you're not necessarily using. So sometimes there is a literal cost, even if the stuff you're buying is quite small. But most importantly, I would say, is the mental cost. So I talked a little bit about sticker sheets, and I have sticker sheets upon sticker sheets that I purchased from Etsy. I have many that have feature girl stickers that I could just so easily rebuy, or stickers that I had a plan for and I never used. And I often keep them in this big binder that you see me flipping through right now. And what this binder is basically like my mental debt to myself. It's just me creating a debt to myself to use these stickers someday, because most of these sticker sheets I bought without a plan. I bought because I liked them. I bought because I thought they were pretty. I did buy genuinely thinking that I would use them, but what it is now to me is just a mental debt that I'm paying myself over and over again by keeping these stickers. Every time I look at them, I'm like, oh, I should really use that. Oh my God, I should really use that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't need to use it. I'm not going to use it, and I could just give it away. So think about what the mental debt you are signing yourself up for is when you buy and store sticker sheets, especially if you're just buying to go shopping and not buying for some kind of purpose. Another tip that I have been asking myself here is it useful or is it beautiful? I'm not saying you need to get rid of all the beautiful things. I want you to ask yourself another question, which is that if it's just beautiful, if it's not useful, if it's just beautiful, do you admire it? For example, I have all this seasonal washi tape that I bought from Notebook Therapy. I love Notebook Therapy collections. I think they're so beautiful. I'm not sponsored by Notebook Therapy or anything, but I love their products. They're so beautiful. And I think their box sets are really great. There's usually one or two misses in a box set for me, but most of the stickers are really great. But I purchased these seasonal washi tape boxes, one for their fall collection and one for their spring collection, and I simply don't use them and I don't take them out to admire them or stick them places where I will be able to admire them. I think washi tape is a really good example for this question. Is it useful or is it beautiful? And if it's beautiful, do you admire it? Because when you are setting up planner spreads or doing any sort of scrapbooking or journaling, if you have a beautiful piece of washi tape that you love, but you are not using it as decoration or just like, throwing it in the back, even in the back of a journal, just so you can like look at it sometimes, you're ultimately not even appreciating it for its beautiful value. Washi tape doesn't need to be useful. Decorations for your planners or your stationery or your journals or whatever don't need to be useful. Not everything needs to be useful, but if things are beautiful, you want to be admiring them. The piece of art on your wall is beautiful and you're admiring it every day when you look at it. A piece of art in a corner behind a bed sheet does nothing for you because you're not admiring it. You bought it because it's beautiful and you're not even taking care of it or taking the time to admire it. So that's why I'm going to be getting rid of the seasonal washi tapes, and honestly a lot of other washi tapes as well. I don't use them. I don't even admire them. I don't even put them in places where I would be able to see them. So I just need to get rid of it. The last tip I want to mention is to use the 90-90 rule. So this is a tip from the Minimalists, which are a couple of guys who basically made minimalism their whole brand. They have a documentary, it's pretty good, and they have a whole podcast, which I recommend listening to if you are like really in the mood to understand your own relationship with your stuff. In general, I think minimalism and minimalists sort of ask you to really challenge yourself and challenge the relationship you have with material objects. How much do they mean to you? Why are they the cornerstone of your personality? So I think minimalism in that way can be a really valuable tool when we are thinking about our things and decluttering them. I'm not saying minimalism is the answer for everybody, and I certainly don't keep what a minimalist would consider a good amount of stuff in this video. I keep way more than that. But I think the 90-90 rule is really very useful, especially for things that you buy thinking you're going to use them someday and then you don't. So the 90-90 rule has you ask yourself if you have used the item in the last 90 days and if you will use it in the 90 days to come. For example, I have this stamp set. I have often been gifted stamps. I've often purchased stamps. So I have a bunch of different stamps, a couple of different inks. This is by no means a huge stamp collection, but it is a small stamp collection. And I can tell you I have not used this stamp collection in the last 90 days. And I was struggling while I was going through this stuff to think of a project that I would even come close to needing to use a stamp on in the next 90 days. If I really stretch myself, I'm like, maybe I could create a custom birthday card with a stamp set. But knowing myself, knowing that there have been birthdays in the past 90 days that I have not created custom birthday cards for, that I have not used my stamp set for, helps me understand that in the following 90 days, I will not be doing that either. I will not be going through my stamps and picking out the stamps that I want to use. So the 90-90 rule really helps guide you in terms of, I haven't used this recently, but will I use it recently? And then if the answer is yes, you will use it recently, keep the item. The next time you come into your collection to do a little bit of spring cleaning, look at the item again and say, that one time when I was going to declutter it, but I said I would use it in 90 days, did I actually use it? You can really use your personal data to inform what you should keep and what you should leave behind. Now, I'll be totally honest with you here in this collection. I have kept stuff that I haven't used in the last 90 days and that I don't think I will use in the next 90 days. For me, I am looking forward in my life over the next year to some lifestyle changes that are going to give me a lot more time to connect with my hobbies, especially the hobbies that I buy or save a lot of scrapbooking supplies for. So there's some stuff in here that you may think, why is she keeping that? She's obviously not using it, but I have a plan for it. And you know what? That's okay. If in 6 months when I do this again and I'm like, my plan for this did not pan out, I did not think about this well, or maybe I did not make the changes required to make that plan pan out, then I can think back on this instance in this video and look back and understand what I've learned from the process and be better informed to get rid of it at that point. I think if you are going to hold on to things that, are maybe beautiful, not useful, but you're not really admiring, or stuff for projects that you're really not sure when you're ever going to get time to do, I think you just have to keep in mind those costs that I mentioned. Like, I understand that if I'm keeping X amount of scrapbooking supplies and I don't have a current plan to scrapbook, I understand that that is a mental and physical cost that I am paying. How long am I willing to pay that cost? And how long am I willing to keep these items in my home with that cost known to me now? So I'm not saying you have to get rid of everything, but I am saying that your life is going to change and it's okay to, get rid of or throw some things away or donate them or gift them to a friend that you know for sure you're not going to use, or that you know for sure you're going to be able to buy again, so getting rid of it is not that much of an issue.
If you want to know what supplies I actually do use every single day in my productivity system, head over to the video right here on the screen about my favorite productivity tools, in which I talk about those. Thank you so much for watching, for being subscribed, for being awesome, and I love you so much.